Hi, welcome to Crosspoint Community Church. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Nathaniel, and this is what you need to know this week.
If you're a first-time guest and you're wondering what we're all about, our mission here at Crosspoint is to lead people to be passionate followers of Christ.
If you were wondering what those boxes were when you walked in, back there, that's TOM. Stands for Tithes, Offerings, and Mission. And this is how we take offering here at Crosspoint.
Okay, so next week we are going to be starting a new series titled Loved Us. This is going to be a 3-part series, and it's definitely a series that you don't want to miss. And you might want to bring some friends too.
So now we got kids stuff. Come on out at 5:45 for a pre-party, or you can be there at 6 o'clock when it actually starts. And don't forget, we'll be introducing the virtue in which our students will be discussing for the rest of this month for Kid XP.
Okay, so today we wrap up our series, The Easy Commandment, with Part 5, Child Sacrifice in the 21st Century. Now, let's get off topic for a second. If you remember last week, Kevin preached a sermon that talked about the Harlem Shake. And we spent a good solid 10 minutes on the Harlem Shake. So, Student Takeover decided to make their own Harlem Shake. And I'm going to show it to you guys right now.
Con los terroristas.
The Harlem Shake.
Okay, so getting back on track. If you missed any of the previous weeks and you want to check them out, you can go access our YouTube page, which can be accessed through our website, crosspointonline.net.
Well, that's all we got need to know this week. If you have any questions, you can stop out at the welcome table on your way out, or you can check out our website, crosspointonline.net, or you can check out our app. And here's a brief recap. See you all next week.
Good morning. Thank you for that. Yes. Good morning, Tim. I'm just going to say good morning, Tim, from here on out, anytime I do this. Hey, we are glad you're here this morning. If you're new here, my name's Kevin, and this is Missy. Say hi, Missy. There you go. That's Missy. If you're wondering what we're all about as a church, our mission is to lead people to be passionate followers of Christ. We only want to do things that lead you into a relationship with God. And kind of one of the ways that we say it around here is we don't care why you're here. We're just glad that you actually came. We have no idea why you actually showed up here this morning. You may have made a wrong turn. I understand that. That's okay. Somebody may have promised you free donuts out there, which that's not a great promise because the donuts are okay. They're not great. They may have told you you're going to meet someone attractive. That's happened before. But for all those reasons, I mean, it doesn't really matter. We're just thrilled that you're actually showing up here this morning and that you're a part with us this morning at Crosspoint. I did a good job of that. Yeah, that's fantastic. Go ahead.
You'd think by the second time you'd have it down pat.
You can only go up from here.
Well, that's good. We are finishing up the Easy Commandment today. Tammy Conrad's going to be bringing the message today, and we're going to be talking about kids today. At the end of the service, Kevin and I are going to share with you what the church is doing to help you become partners with us for your kids. And speaking kids, well, you know how Kevin always talks about things that he's done in middle school and high school. Well, as a high school student, some of our favorite memories is when we used to do a chubby bunny contest. So, Kevin, yes, I'm switching it up. The first service, we did a hula hoop contest, and he wasn't very nice. So, challenge accepted. You never know. I'm a teacher, so you never know what I'm going to do.
We went over how we were going to do the welcome earlier this week.
You said you trusted me.
And Missy said she had a surprise. And then first service, she pulled out the hula hoops, which it was like, oh, Missy, you got me. And now
right, you know the chubby buddy contest.
I think this is dangerous. I think you can die from this.
I know the Heimlich. I've done it with marshmallows before. My nephew chose.
Service just got interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so you know the rules. You have to stuff one in. Just stuff in 2 or 3, and then say chubby bunny, and then keep going.
Could we get a trash can?
This is going to be your trash can.
Wait, you're doing it too?
I'm going to go. I'm going to go after you.
Do you want to go first?
No, you go first.
I think you should go
No,
first.
You're going for it first because pastor goes first. That's the rules. Okay. Just here. I'll hold this.
My mouth is huge.
Because this, we don't want you to spit on this. That's gross. Yeah, I know your mouth is big. Bethany knows your mouth is big.
So what do I do?
Just put 2, and then you have to say chubby bunny. Oh, wow. He's already doing the hamster stuff. Okay, now say chubby bunny.
Chubby bunny.
Okay, do 2 more. You might want to speed this up. This is awesome. So much fun.
Chubby bunny.
Are you telling me to get my big hat out of the way?
I don't want to throw up.
You weren't going to throw up? What?
No, no.
That would make it. Okay, come on. Can you say chubby?
Chubby bunny.
Oh, don't eat that one. Oh! I don't know if the 5-second rule applies here.
Chubby bunny?
I'm very fearful.
I'm awesome.
Well, has anybody been counting? 10? Thank you. I forgot that. Camera. We need a camera.
Chubby bunny?
Okay. Guess what? You win. Roll the parent rap video, please.
So, like we said, we're going to be talking about parents and the idols of our kids today, and Tammy Comer will be bringing the message, and we will be back up here at the end to talk to you some more. So,
Do they have to stand and shake?
okay, thanks.
Or tell a knock-knock joke. You can stand and tell a knock-knock joke instead.
Why
Shaking hands.
don't you just stand and shake hands
Talking about kids today.
and keep standing?
So, child sacrifice in the 21st century. Aren't you glad you came to church today? Okay, now I have to tell you how this all went down. Because Kevin, Bobby, and I, we wind up in meetings together, and we're talking about, we're going to do this whole series on idol worship, and you know, money, power, love, and all this stuff. And the last one's kids. I think Bobby would do a fine job on this. Right? Okay, and so that's kind of how it got up to me. And then Kevin goes on, and I have this great passage in Jeremiah that I think you should use, which completely describes pagan worship of child sacrifice. I'm like, holy cow, I can't even watch the movie 300. Okay, I'm like, you know, Braveheart makes me want to vomit. There is no way I can take this track with where you want it to go. So I said, I'll pray about it, but I'm pretty sure God's going to say no. Anyway, he didn't. So we're talking about how we put our children in the spot of an idol. And so I was kind of at Coleman's house last night. I was picking up Justin, and Coleman said, so what are you teaching on tomorrow? And I said, putting our children as idols and you know, that kind of stuff and stuff and junk. And he bust out laughing. I'm like, oh, this is not going to go well. So because it's very intimidating, because I would rather be talking about parenthood or children or anything in front of anybody that watches me do it, right? I mean, I could go somewhere else and talk with great authority because this is how my household runs. But you watch it. You watch what my kids do. You watch what they don't do. You watch when I yell at them. You watch when I should have yelled at them. And you see it all. And so I have to tell you, this is incredibly intimidating to be standing up here talking with authority. So we're not going to talk with authority. I'm just going to talk as one of you. This is what I've learned this week. And you may have come to church today and said, I don't have kids yet. Solitaire on the iPhone. You know, but I have to tell you, if you can get some of this stuff in now, Think of how much further ahead of the game you are. Now I have to go back and try to correct everything that I've done wrong. Okay, so if you can start now, think about how much further ahead you'll be. Or, my kids are out of the house. Whew, done with this one. Okay, I have to tell you, your child as an adult can still be your idol because I married one. Okay, yeah. Oh, there he is. Yeah. Mwah. Okay, his mother adored him. She was his miracle baby. When we first got married, she would call every night, and this is what she'd say. What did you fix him for dinner? Fix him for dinner? Before we got married, this is how he likes his shirts ironed. You'd best tell him. You can clearly see I was the perfect choice for a mate. Okay? So this is kind of where we are. She would call and she goes, so what'd you do today? What kind of surgeries did he do? I don't know. You'll kind of have to talk to him. I don't know. But she wanted to know every aspect of our lives because she was consumed with what he was doing. And then she'd go, you know, he's really smart. I know. He tells me every day. So anyway, so it's hard. It's hard when your child is an idol. So, or if you're a child sitting there and you're like, yep, that's me. I am all my parents think about and do. Yeah. This may apply to you too, because you have to overcome a lot. So that's kind of where we are today. And so as I'm looking at this, I really wanted to make even playing ground, because I don't want you to think that I'm the perfect parent, because some of you might, right? So I'm going to tell you my Mom of the Year moments right here. I'm going to tell you some of them. The first one happened, we just moved here. Justin is about 18 months old. And Kevin Sanders, I don't know if you know him, but it was before he'd married Beth. Okay, so he was in the neighborhood just on a date, okay, because she was staying at somebody's house in our neighborhood. And I'm sure I was doing something that was superbly important, because and Kevin tells it differently than me, so you can go to him for his version, because it's not nearly as great for me as my version is. So, you know, if you want to hear the other version, Kevin came afterwards for service. He goes, it's not really how it went down. So anyway, but I hear a doorbell, and I go there, and they're like dripping wet because it's pouring rain outside. And there's Kevin Sanders, who I've met maybe once in my life. And he has my 2-year-old son on his finger, and he said, is he yours? You don't know how bad I wanted to say, what? No, what mother would do that? And no, he's mine. Now, Kevin said he didn't even get an answer at the door, and he had to walk in. Hello? Hello? And then I see him dripping in there. I don't know. Believe whatever you want to believe. My memory's not real great. So anyway, or what about when I take this same child, and this was just this past summer, so he's 15. 14, sorry. I had to do the one birthday math. Okay, he's 14 years old, and he is competing in gymnastics, and he is quite good, okay? He's already, we're at nationals, we're in Los Angeles, and he's already taken first place in tumbling, okay? But his back is killing him. It's really hurting. It's hurt for about a month or so, and we've done the massage, and we've pumped him full of ibuprofen, and he's got his last event to go. And he's pretty sore, because, you know, we've seen the Queen Mary. We've done a whole lot while we're there. And he has one event to go. And 4 ibuprofen in there, you're good to go, Justin. And then I look him in the face and I put my finger up there and I said, Justin, you can decide to do this or don't do this. I don't care. If your back hurts too bad, then scratch yourself. I don't care. But you do it or you don't do it. But you don't stand there and complain about your back to your coaches. He had a broken back. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, or when your daughter breaks her leg and you're like, walk it off, walk it off. Please tell me some of you have been there. Or when my son is playing soccer and he's the goalie, so that means, you know, he's in the untouchable position, should be safe, and some kid barrels into him like slide tackle barrels, knocks him down. So the next time the kid gets close, I'm like, get him, Brandon, get him! All the parents are like, it's only fair, right? Or how about the time when we leave Mallory places? I use places in plural. We leave her at church, small group, people's houses. We do it accidentally, I promise. I tell Mallory that all the time, accidentally. Kim Skaggs has us on speed dial just because, and when I leave the church, you got Mallory, right? You got Mallory. Yeah, he's become that big of a problem. But Paul and I drive separate so many times. You know, I don't have to go on with the story, right? Okay. Anyway, so those are my Mom of the Year moments. They are grand and they are glorious. So you can see I don't deal with idol worship at all, right? I know, there's the punchline, it's coming. All right, so then I thought, well, then, you know, it's like church, so I should probably look to the Bible for what we need to talk about. So I tried to look at parenting in the Bible, see who's done a good job, who we can emulate, who we can learn from, and we start with Adam and Eve. Okay, yeah, you see where this is going? They had one son who killed the other son. Yeah, okay, we don't go there. Okay, or Noah. Well, Noah had a drinking problem. Now, in his defense, how hard would it really be to be on an ark with all those animals and only your wife and small kids? I mean, there's no excuse. But anyway, he had a drinking problem, which I'm sure was a great thing to look up to. Abraham offered his wife to another man. There's a good example. Rebekah schemed with her son Jacob to deceive her husband Isaac over a birthright. Kevin talked about that last week if you were here. Jacob's sons sold their brother Joseph into slavery because of parental favoritism. David had an affair, and his son started a rebellion against the whole kingdom. Eli, who was a priest, lost total control of how his boys acted in church. And this one is in my defense. Even Mary and Joseph left Jesus. Joseph, I thought he was with you. No, Mary, we distinctly talked that he was going to go with you. Yeah, we've had that argument several times before. All right, so I tried to find something that, what would depict this idol relationship between a father and a son. And so I looked at the story that I learned when I was in school at Sunday school, which is the story of Abraham and Isaac. And I thought, oh, this will be, correlates really well. And I discovered so many truths. It's just amazing. So let me just kind of start you off with that story. I'll try to be quick because I talk really fast. So Abram, his name was Abram at the very beginning, followed God. They were like this. It worked out great. And God came to Abram at Abram's about 70-ish years old. It's sometimes hard to tell because they just say a little time later. But 70-ish from what I was talking about, from what I was looking up. And he said, I want to reward you, Abram. Abram's like, how's that going to happen? I don't even have kids. Whoa, really? Like that's the only way you can be rewarded? It's kind of what stuck out in my mind. And God said, I know, but I am going to give you a son, and he is going to be great, and you're going to have so many descendants. Look at the stars in the sky. It's going to be that numerous, too numerous to count, because I'm going to give you a son. And time passed, and time passed, and time passed. Now, I'm thinking that Abram didn't just go start wanting a son at age 70. I'm thinking that him and Sarah have wanted children, probably, most of us kind of think of that in our, 20s? So they had desired this for a really long time. And here we get, Abraham is now 99 years old. So it's been since he was 70 that he was promised a son. And now he is 99 years old. And God came back and he said, Abram, I'm going to change your name. It's going to be from Abram, which means son, father of many, to Abraham, which means father of multitudes. And by this time next year, you are going to have a son. Wow. So here it is. 60-some, I don't do math, but 60-some years that he has been longing for children, and it is finally going to happen. And it did. Sarah and Abraham had a son, and they loved him, and he was the best on the little soccer team. He was brilliant. He had to be, right? Because he was the birth of a whole nation. He was amazing. He was the best kid. And he was growing up. And here we are in Genesis chapter 22. Sometime later, see, there's no real things. When I looked it up, it said that Isaac was probably pre-teenish, so like 13 or 14, and that would have put Abraham at around 115, something like that. So I know you think being a father right now is hard, or mom, holy cow, I don't want to be 100 and do it. So sometime later, God tested Abraham. He said to him, Abraham, here I am, he replied. Then God said, take your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the region of Moriah. I think Isaac is pretty descriptive enough, don't you? Take your son, Isaac. We would have known right who he was talking about. But God chose to use the word, take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the region of Moriah. Don't you think God was trying to say something here? Trying to make a point? You know what, Abraham, I know you love your son. I know he's everything to you. I know that you have placed everything on him, all your love, all your dedication, all your happiness, all your success, all of your succession you have placed on this child. And I want you to know that. You have made your son an idol before me. And by saying those words, he's calling him out on it right here. Let's look at the definition of idolatry. Because then I thought, I don't really know how to relate to this. So the first definition is the religious worship of idols. And the second is excessive or blind adoration, reverence, devotion. That one got a little closer. Excessive or blind adoration, reverence, devotion. Now, sociologists define it. They tell us that something is a god and an object of worship when it becomes the source of our self-worth and the ultimate consideration in decision-making. Something's an idol or a god when it becomes the source of our self-worth and the ultimate consideration in our decision-making. There's only one top spot. You can't tie for first. There's only one top spot. And what that top spot is for you is how your whole life flows down. It's how you make your decisions. It's how you structure everything from under that. And Abraham was structuring everything under Isaac. And God was saying, this is a little place, it's a little place. When we've talked about idols throughout this series, we've learned that men who place their jobs as their main value, they sacrifice their family, they sacrifice their health, and sometimes they sacrifice their ethics. Women, men, whatever, you can interchange it, whatever. Women who place their husbands as their idol, they sacrifice true relationship. They sacrifice what true love really is. And parents, when we are allowing our children to consume us, our time, our energy, our love, our success, we are sacrificing them. We are sacrificing them. Now, I have to tell you, it's really easy to let your child consume you. Because when they come into this world, they need everything, right? I mean, they count on you for everything. You have to feed them. You have to change them. You have to, it seems like they sleep a long time, but you're awfully tired for as much as they sleep. And wouldn't it just be so much easier if they knew what night was? Right? Would that be so hard to ask? But they come and they have days and nights mixed up, and your whole life revolves around what this baby is doing. And they cry and you jump and they whimper and they laugh and go, oh, and you have to make sure you give FaceTime. You have to have this much FaceTime during the day because that's what's healthy for them. And everything is consumed by this baby. And I don't know how to change that because that's what they require, right? But as they grow up, do we change? Or do they still consume? Do they still look to us for everything? And that's where it starts going off the track. And then we have these dreams of what they will be. Like it starts right away. You visit somebody at the hospital. Look at those shoulders. He's going to be a great football player. Yeah. Okay? Or Mallory, she had the most beautiful piano fingers from day one. They weren't just regular fingers, they were piano fingers. And we do that because our kids are amazing and they're going to be incredible. And we start building our hopes and our dreams and our thoughts of what success is on our children. This one's starting to hit me a little harder now. When we are making our children an idol, I am making my self-worth into who they are. My self-worth comes from who they are and who are they becoming. My focus becomes more on what they do. Are they well-rounded? Are they getting straight A's? Are they pretty? Do they have a lot of friends? Are they happy? Are they successful? Do they play a sport? All of that stuff. And my focus becomes on that instead of who are they becoming? Are they loving Jesus more and more each day? Do I have a viable relationship with them? How easy is that, right? Because I know we're busy. I wave to you on the road. Incredibly, the most precious gift that God gives us can be the hindrance between our relationship to him. And that is where Abraham found himself. He found himself as this precious gift that he was giving, and it was blocking out who God was altogether. And God came down and he said, Abram, I'm calling you out on this one, because I have a nation riding on this, and we need to switch things up a little bit. So here we are. We're in Genesis chapter 22. Then God said, take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains I will tell you about. Say what? Because he already knew sacrifice was bad, right? And how do you rationalize this? Sacrifice is bad, sacrifice your son. He had to have been going, why in the world is God asking me to do this, right? I mean, I know what his plan is, and we all know what his plan is, because Father Abraham had many sons, sir. Many sons had Father Abraham, right? Right arm, left arm. Many sons had Father Abraham. So, I mean, we've even built songs around it. We knew that this may not take place, but Abraham's going, are you kidding me, God? What are you thinking? He did it anyway. All right, here he comes. Oh, I hate getting older. Whoa. Okay. Early the next morning, Abraham got up and saddled his donkey. He took with him 2 of his servants and his son Isaac. When he had cut enough wood for the burnt offering, he set out for the place God had told him about. I don't know if you caught that. Abraham cut the wood himself. He had 2 servants and his son, and he cut the wood himself. He is 120 years old or something like that. And he chose to cut the wood himself. To me, that's really significant. How easy would it have been? Oh, God's calling me to do this, so why don't you guys go get us some wood, and then we'll head on out. This hit Abraham to the core. And you know what? When God sometimes hits me to the core, I feel guilt. Don't you think that Abraham was just like, oh my goodness, what have I done? And the only way he could start rectifying this was to do it himself. And as he's chopping that wood, what do you think he was doing? I know what I would have been doing. Oh God, please don't make me do this. There's got to be another way. Please don't let this be how this story ends. I will do anything. I will do anything. I'll do whatever you ask me to, but please don't let this be the end of this story. Please don't let this be the end of your promise in my life. And don't you think right then and there, he sacrificed Isaac and said, take him, he's yours. Because, you know what? You're right. You're right. You're exactly right. This is what I've done. But I love you, God. I love you more than anything, and I want him to be yours. Don't you think at that point his heart had changed? At that point when he realized what he was going to have to do, that he turned it all over to God and said, you're right. Take it. Because you know what? I've really not done a great job so far. But the story doesn't end there. Moriah was about a 3 to 4 days journey because it was about 50 or 60 miles. And so here they go. On the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. On the journey, don't you think that every step of the way, he was just going, I commit my son to you. commit my son to you. You got him. He's yours. It would be for me every step of the way, and still they continued the journey. He said to his servants, "Stay here with the donkey while I and the boy go over there. We will worship, and then we will come back to you." We will come back to you. He knows God's going to take care of it. At this point, he knows God has it in his hands. He knows God's going to take care of it. And still, the story goes on. Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering, and he placed it on his son Isaac, and he himself carried the fire and the knife. As the two of them went on together, Isaac spoke up and said to his father Abraham, "Father?" "Yes, my son," Abraham replied. "The fire and wood are here." Isaac said, "But where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Crickets. I mean, wouldn't you really want to talk about anything else? Well, when a man loves a woman very, very much, I mean, really, wouldn't you want her to talk about absolutely anything else? But Abraham answered, "God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son." And the two of them went on together. When they reached the place God had told him about, Abraham built an altar there and arranged the wood on it. He bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Then he reached out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. Wow. My question here is, if Abraham's heart had already changed and he already knew what he had done was wrong, why did they have to get to this point? Right? Why do you have to completely go through with it? And I think God needed Abraham to look at that scene as an illustration. I think God needed Abraham to picture this in his mind forever and say, "This is what you're doing to him. By making all of your hopes and all of your dreams resting right here on this wood, you are killing him. You are literally killing him for what I'm calling him to do. I have a whole nation riding on this. The whole Jewish nation started here." And he goes, "And all he knows is your love." That's all he knows, because that's all you've shown him. And you've shown him over and over again. He's spoiled rotten. But I need him to know about my love, and I need you to show him that. Because right now, all you're doing is killing him. Whew. God was saying, "Abraham, all you're worried about is succession, and I need a legacy here. I need this child to know about me, and his children, and his children, and his children." Because not only is a whole nation being birthed here, but the Messiah is being birthed here. And I need this line to continue. But all Abraham could see, "Oh, Isaac's beautiful. He's awesome. He's such a great kid, and I love him so much." And God said, "Listen, I have a bigger picture. I have a bigger picture, and you're killing him for what my plans are for him." Whew. All right, sorry. I'm back. So Abraham recognized it like that. I don't want to have to go through that. I don't want God to have to come down and say, "Mallory, gotta go." So how do I recognize this in myself? Because you know what? I don't want that for my kids. I want them to love God. How do I recognize this tendency to put my kids before God because I love them so much? How do I learn to rationalize this all out? So as I was studying, I looked at two ways that I think that I do it. And there may be others, but these are the two that I found that I think really help me diagnose how I make my child an idol. Child and idol. Did I say that weird? Sorry. What if I did? No, child and idol. There we go. Look in two categories. So I'm not just worried about succession, but legacy. So the first one is, am I worried? Here, let me just make sure I get this right. Am I overly concerned about my child's happiness or the desire for their love? Am I overly concerned with my child's happiness or my desire for their love? Because that can control a lot of what we do. Now, I have to tell you, I love it when my kids are happy. One of my favorite days is Christmas Day. And Paul and I don't even really get gifts. It's just all about them opening theirs, and it's like, oh, look, it's my favorite. And doesn't your heart just go, oh, right? It's awesome, right? I love to make my children happy. I love taking them places that they love to go. We've taken family vacations we probably had no right to take, but we did it because they were so happy. Disney World, happiest place on earth, right? Tons of money. Oh my goodness, my husband could hardly be happy because it's like $25 for a hamburger. Are you kidding me? So, anyway, but we do a lot of things to make our kids happy. And it kind of skews what we do. I have a strong-willed child, Haley. And she, when she was 3, I would have had to kind of do, one of these dance numbers to make her happy because it would change with the flow of the wind that was in the room. You know what I'm saying? Right? And so I remember her, I don't even know what I told her no for because she was 3 and she's 17 now and who knows how long ago that was. So she came in and she goes, I hate you. Doesn't a little bit of you kind of die inside? Because if any of you have been parented girls, I know you've heard this. Because you want your children to love you, right? You want them to just be full of love and graciousness for all that you've sacrificed for them. Right? Okay, so, I hate you. And then she runs up to her room and she slams her door, not once but twice, just to make sure I heard it. Oh, she's going to be a delight as a teenager, isn't she? Woo! First thoughts through my head. But I cannot be controlled by that because that's what she was trying to do, right? She was trying to control me by making her happy. Has anyone seen that commercial? It's a Fruit Roll-Ups commercial, and the kid is there in the grocery store, and nod your head if you've seen this, and they're in the grocery store, and he's like, Mommy, can I have a snack, please? And she's kind of ignores him a little bit, which really, she was looking at coupons, but whatever. Partly her fault, I just have to say that. She kind of ignored him, and so he got on the end of the cart and went, please! Are you annoyed yet? Because it went on the whole commercial. Please! Okay, the grocery checkout girl was going. The meat guy was going. They'd go down the aisle and the lady was like. Okay, all the way through the store, this kid was going, please! It was the most annoying, it just went right up my spine. And you know what she did at the end of the commercial? She gave him those stupid fruit snacks! Are you kidding me? Well, lady, I hope you like that sound because you're going to hear it a lot more. I was just it went right up my spine. But yet we do that. We don't care how our kids act because we just want to make them happy because that's what makes things easier. I've been there. At least I've been there. I'm not saying you do that, really. But I have. Because that's what makes things easier. My same daughter, when I made her mad, she, door slamming, when we cave to this kind of behavior, making them happy, we're really sacrificing their character, aren't we? Because then all they're consumed about is what will make me happy. What are you going to do to make me happy? I'm entitled to this. I deserve that. And I don't want to marry that, nor do I want to be friends with that. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I just don't want that. And God has given me a job to raise my kids the way he needs me to raise them. The scary part about this mentality is that there's no room for God. In a child who thinks they deserve everything and everything should be given to them and that life should be to make them happy, there's no room for God because they're completely ego-centered. It's all about me. All about me. And there's no room for God. That's a scary place. It's a scary place to be put in. And if the child cannot learn to bow to your authority, there is no way in the world they will ever learn to listen to God. Now, I was lucky in the fact that I learned this early. I don't even know how or where, but I remember that discipline or training your children the right way was important, not just to make them better, but if they didn't learn right from wrong and learn how to be disciplined, then there's no way that God's going to be able to do anything with them, nor will they look for it. Going back to Haley, she was coming up the hill and I made her mad again because life is completely unfair and I was a completely unfair mother and that's just the way it was. And she's four because I picked her up from preschool. Coming up the hill and she goes, "Why do you have to be so mean?" And I have to tell you, I was brilliant. Right here, right now, I was brilliant at this point in time. I wish I would have videoed it. I would have showed you right here, and we could have all just learned from it, and it would have been amazing, right? Because I go on, and I'm like, "Haley, it is Mommy's job to do this because you have to listen to my authority, so you listen to God's authority, and God has placed this important job in my hands because He loves you so much, and He wants you to learn to do." You get the picture, right? Do I have to go on? Okay, so it went on for quite a while. While I was driving up the old hill. Please tell me you're more impressed by that, okay? So, I'm going up here like this, and we get to the top, and I said, "I have done a great job." I look back in the rearview mirror. I can tell she's thinking, kind of looking around. "Mom, will you quit your job?" "No, I won't quit your job." So one of my other favorite Haley things is when I told her no. She just had all sorts of fun stuff. My dad said I should have written a book. Oh, he also said that when I'd call and tell him Haley stories, he'd say, "There is a God, and He is just." So I don't know. I'm not quite sure what that means, but anyway, I know, isn't that funny? So I made Haley mad another time, and she gets her little, "You better watch out. I'm going to call Social Security on you." Like, "Here's the phone, baby, here's the phone." But if they cannot learn to accept this, then we have kind of sacrificed them. We've sacrificed their character. We've sacrificed their integrity. We can also be overly concerned about my child's success or my dreams for their life. Now, I have to tell you, I love to watch my kids do something that they're good at, right? Doesn't it just like feel good inside when they're playing soccer or volleyball or whatever, basketball or playing a violin solo or whatever, piano solo? It's awesome. It like makes you feel really good inside, right? And it's like, "That's my kid. That's them. Just so you see it, that's them." Right? I have to tell you, and I know it seems like it's all about Haley, but it really isn't. I think I screwed up with her more. I'm not quite sure. But she was doing this amazing, playing volleyball, and she had this amazing dig. I'm telling you what, she dove for the floor and saved it, got the point. It was really incredible. And so after the game, I'm like, "Haley, that was amazing. I'm so proud of you." And then it's like, "Whoa, that's the reason you're proud of her? Really? Because she had a good play? Wow." So then I brought it back together and I'm like, "Haley, you know that's not really the reason I'm proud of you, because I would be proud of you even if you dropped the play because I love you." And then, just because she's a teenager and I love to have fun with that, I wanted to go on with this dissertation until I got the eye roll. You know what I'm talking about? So just for fun, I like to see how long it'll take. So then I'm like, "Haley, because you know that we are more important with your, we just feel like you're developing your character is so much more important." And there it is. Yes! Didn't take quite as long that time. But we become so consumed with what our kids are doing, how successful they are, what they're accomplishing, that we forget to think about who they are becoming or whose they are becoming. Our kids' schedules are so full with our attempt to make them well-rounded or college scholarship bound or successful in their job that we forget that real success lies with loving Jesus with their whole heart. I forget it because my busy schedule completely consumes my day, and I forget that Jesus is my priority. Families run the risk, I'm going to read it because I really want to get this through. Families run the risk of becoming relationally poor in their pursuit of becoming experientially rich. We run the risk of becoming relationally poor because we are so concerned that we're giving our child all the opportunities that they need or deserve because of the gifts that they have. Experiences are good. They're important. But when they consume us, we are making a child our idol. when their success is our self-esteem, when what they do overpowers everything, it's an idol. I am just not sure that, hurry up, get in the van. Why don't you have your piano books? Get those lead out of your shorts. Can't you run any faster than that? Is good quality time. Just saying. Been there. There's a commercial on that I absolutely love. So there's one I hate, and here's one I love. Pass down something he will be grateful for. I love it, and I just love that commercial. I know, isn't that great? That's probably how I really throw. I don't think I was faking it. But anyway, I have to tell you, when Brandon has made a really important decision this year. Brandon's my oldest. He's going to be 19 here in just a little bit. And this year, he's made a really important decision. And he's answering God's call on his life, and he's going into the ministry. And I'm proud to death for him. I'm really excited for how excited he is to be following God. But I have to tell you, deep in my heart, I'm kind of scared for him. Because, Mama Bear, because it's none of you. But church people, they can sometimes be really mean. And that breaks my heart for him. And I want to protect him. I mean, couldn't he just do something nice like accounting? Accountants are nice. And then in the deeper part of myself that I really don't want people to see, my thoughts are, gosh, I wish he'd make more money. And then I'm kind of ashamed of myself for thinking that. But it also lets me know, maybe my child's an idol. Because I need to let him become what God is calling him to be. I don't know if you noticed in the story that of Abraham, but Isaac carried his own wood that he was going to be sacrificed on. Abraham carried the torch and the knife, or the fire and the knife. They don't say it's a torch, I'm just assuming that. Torch and the knife, and Isaac carried the wood. And I can't help but think that that's significant, because when we place our success fulfillment, our dreams, our overwhelming love on our children, it's a really hard burden to carry. And it weighs them down. I don't know that that's any part of the story. Those are just my thoughts. Thoughts with Tammy, right here. But this is what I really think that this picture of Isaac splayed out here was what God needed Abraham to see. He needed him to visualize it 10 years down the road, because this is always going to be an issue. I think we will always make idols of our kids because we love them so much, right? But God's saying, I have so much more in store. I have so much more in store than what you can show him right here. And I need him to do what I've called him to do. I need Isaac to do what I've called him to do, and I don't want him to do just what you're telling him. So not only is Isaac standing in the way of my relationship to you, but he's standing in the way of my hopes and dreams that I have for an entire nation. The scary thing about idol worship with our kids is that it is disguised by genuine love and genuine concern and genuine care, right? So how do we know when it's gone too far? Because we're called to do all those things. I wanted another scripture. I love this scripture at Proverbs 19:18. Discipline your children, for in that there is hope. Do not be a willing party to their death. Now, I think the discipline here is not talking about punishment, but it's talking about training. It's talking about learning right from wrong. It's talking about doing the right thing for your kids. So teaching them about God, showing them right from wrong, training them up, for in that there is hope. Because otherwise, you're just a willing party to their death. Because you know what? The only thing that matters on this earth is that we know Jesus. Because that's the only thing that's eternal. Right? If we took a poll here, I am sure that everyone here wants their child to know Jesus because they're here. But so many things bog us down and consume us that we forget that that is what our main thing is. I wanted to read this. It's here, so I can read it from here. What I give to my children or what I do for my children is not as important as what I leave in them. What I give to my children or what I do for my children is not as important as what I leave in them. And that's the love of Jesus. I made a chart here, and it's the difference between succession and legacy, because I think this is where we all fall into Abraham's pitfall. We're worried about what our children are doing. We're worried about what the results are instead of who they are becoming and who they are learning to love. Ways that you can kind of work this out. And I think that you sometimes need to go home. This is kind of my list. You can go home, make your own list, because we all have our own pitfalls of where we put our children in front of God. Make your own list. Find out where your own pitfalls are. Because only when you know them will you be able to recognize them and replace them with God, right? So, am I more concerned with their spelling words, with their homework, with how they're doing there? Or am I spending equal time teaching them who Jesus Christ is, God's love for them, scriptures from the Bible? Am I more concerned with their approval from others? Or how about my approval from others? Making decisions based on what I'm seeing people watching me do, or what I'm seeing God watching me do? Am I more concerned with numbers? How many points they score? Straight A's? Or am I concerned with Jesus Christ as their personal Savior? My relationship with them. Do I have a viable relationship with my children? Good plays or good character? And the last one, a commitment to teams or a commitment to God? And this one catches because there's so many games and stuff that get played on Sunday, and my daughter's already left for cheerleading competition. And there are so many things that crowd out our time with God. And sometimes this is it. What we come here to do on Sunday mornings is our time with God. And people say, oh, but I've got a commitment to this team. And it overrides your commitment to God. There's times we have to be gone on Sundays. I've done it. I've gone to tournaments. But when it becomes a consistent thing where we're missing church for this, we're missing something else God-related for that, please don't be shocked when they're 25 and they have no room in their life for church. Because this is what they've learned. Because God wasn't first place here in your life. When we put God first place in our lives, He is going to direct us exactly how we need to treat our kids. Because that's always where we're going to go. Straight up. And all of our decisions, all our self-esteem, all of our success is related to God and not our children. I want to leave you some thoughts that I have. What matters more than anything is that my kids have an authentic relationship with God. That's what I desire more than anything. And so my personal relationship with God and my spouse, because you know what? If I let my kids affect my relationship with my spouse, then my whole family's going to crumble. And don't you think that's going to affect my children in some way? So my relationship with my spouse also has to come up there. So my personal relationship with God and with my spouse is instrumental in them growing an authentic relationship with God. And just being together can never substitute for interacting together in a healthy way. In just a minute, Missy Verdon and Kevin are going to come up and talk about how our church wants to partner with you as parents, as grandparents, whatever. Partner with you on how to get Christ-centered in your home. before we do that, I wanted to go back to the story, finish it up. And I am at verse 11. So here we are. Isaac's there, knife here. Everybody with me? Okay. But the angel of the Lord called out to him from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham." "Here I am," he replied. "Do not lay a hand on the boy," he said. "Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son, whom you love." It's not there, but I just thought I'd add that. Okay, Abraham looked up, and there in a thicket he saw a ram caught by its horns. He went over and took the ram, sacrificed it as a burnt offering instead of his son. So Abraham called that place, "The Lord will provide." And to this day it is said, "On the mountain of the Lord it will be provided." So God took this illustration moment. This is what you're doing to him. This is what I need him for. This is what I need you for. I need him to be first. And he turned it into a moment of worship with his son. Isn't that awesome? Worship with your kids. Teach them about Jesus. And please don't let them become idols in your life, because it's so easy to do. Let me pray for you. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for all that you've done for us, for the blessings that you just overwhelm us with. We thank you that we can go to Scripture for our every need. We thank that we can go to you for our every need. And as we learn more about you, as we follow more in your footsteps, you teach us how to become better parents, better workers, better leaders, better teachers. Lord, I'd ask that you be with each and every person's life here. Direct them and guide them. Teach them how to be first place in their life. We love you, Lord, and we ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Tammy, a round of applause. She did a fantastic job. Thanks. You have so much energy. I promise, no more marshmallows. Hey, we just want to take 1 second, and we want to tell you what we're doing as a church to help partner with you on this. One of the things that we believe in very, very importantly here at Crosspoint is we don't do any babysitting. Like what the kids do back there in Kid XP, that's not babysitting. And we really encourage kids to go back there because it's best for your kids. And to help you see, Kim Skaggs runs our Kid XP program right now. And when we have something else come up after church, whether it's the partnership class or something like that, I never go to Kim and say, "Hey, Kim, I need a few people to help watch kids." Because that's not what they do. They build a foundation in those kids' life. And so one of the things that we're just focused on is how can we partner with parents to help make what you do maybe a little easier or give you a little more focus in terms of your role. One of the things that we do really clearly that hits that is Kid Stuff. If you've never been to Kid Stuff before, it's the first Sunday night of every month. It is tonight. It starts at 6 o'clock. And the reason why we do Kid Stuff is very simple. I'm going to explain it on the other side, and then I'll get back to how we do it at Kid Stuff. Our 2.5-year-old, Maddie, watches just an enormous amount of TV. Like, I mean, your kids may read, they may have other talents. My daughter can sit and watch like 3 full-length movies and never move a muscle. It's an incredible talent. I am so proud of her. Bad parent. But one of the things that they do on the Disney Junior channel, which I gotta tell you, how my life has changed. Because 4 years ago I said, so on Sports Center, and I said, so what I love about Disney Junior is in between the shows they have these little things. So like when it's like nap time, and I really, thank you Disney Junior, because like in between the shows when it's around nap time, they'll play this like nap time song, and then the mom will come and she'll take the daughter's hand, and we're going to go take a nap, and the daughter's okay. And so like that's my cue. And so I go, Maddie, you need to go take a nap. No! No nap! Like, which I think that's more so the TV is not helping that character development. But then I'll do this. This is great. I'll go, well, you saw how the nice girl on television went up and took a nap, and all good princesses take naps, so you should be like her and go and take a nap. And so she's got that reference. And she'll go, okay. And she really does it. She'll go, okay, Daddy. And she'll read a book. No, we don't have time for books, just TV. But we'll go up and we'll take a nap. Kids Stuff does that for families. So what we do is every month we cover a virtue, the virtue that your kids learn the whole month long back in Kid XP. And so, like, I think tonight we're covering the virtue of honesty. And this is what happens. When your kids are dishonest, instead of you just having to go, well, we don't lie. That's not what we do. You need to be honest. That's what we stand for as a family. We create a talking point. So you're there in the same room with your kids. You hear the same lesson. And then when something comes up on the issue of honesty, you can go, hey, you remember when we were in kids stuff? And in the skit, the two characters had this happen, and they learned that you should do this. You remember that? And our 2.5-year-old, she does this. She loves kids. Yeah, I remember that. I go, well, that's why you need to be honest. And so it creates that shared experience for parents and kids where you can come together in the same room, learn the same thing, and then you get to begin to talk about those virtues in their lives. So that's one way that we're partnering with you. Missy is going to share a second thing that we are just now starting. So go ahead.
You guys may have questions about how else to help your kids. Talk about honesty, for example. You may have questions about back in Kid XP, who the teachers are, who are the kids that help out the teachers, because there's a lot of kids back there. I think we counted 16 volunteers just for Kid XP today, and we only have 40-some students back there. You may not know how to lead your kids to be Christ-centered, and I understand that. I'm right there. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-month-old, and so I'm beginning that too, and I'm trying to feel my way through. What we are doing, I am doing 2 newsletters. The church has provided us, found this great newsletter. I'm doing one for preschool and one for K through 5. Then Andrew Schultz is doing a newsletter for 6th and on up, 6th grade and on up, to help you guys, give you some information on how to create a Christ-centered home. And it's a little lengthy, but it's for a whole month, so you won't get these weekly or anything. It's just for the whole month. And it has some information in here, like February's was quality time isn't nice, it's necessary. Kind of perfect with what we're talking about today. Some other things that, in our media world, they have some music, they have some apps that are great, memory verses and things like that. But it also has information in here as to what they're doing back there. Because I always ask my 4-year-old, what did you learn about today? And, I get a lamb or something. She tells me a little bit, but not very much. But I can go here and say, okay, well, week 1, this is what you talked about today. Tell me a little bit more. Like last week, she talked about Zacchaeus. Tell me about Zacchaeus. And then she started singing the song, and it was great. And it gives you some ideas. The preschool one's really cute because it gives you some ideas of, what to do in car time, or when you're in the car, at bath time, play time, and cuddle time. And just little tiny moments where you can, talk about God and just make him the center of your home. I would suggest to you, like, whenever I get something, I'm like, oh yeah, I must do it all. I must do this all right now. Might happen for a week, but then, it starts dying out. Just pick one area where you can focus on God with your children, whether it's in the car, and you do that every day. Riley and I drive back and forth to Maysville from Ripley every day. That's a great opportunity to talk about God and where did you see God in your day. And so what you need to do when you go to pick up your kids is we have a little information card where you can provide your email address. We're going to email this newsletter to save money. Paper obviously costs money, and trees. So if you would fill this out whenever you go to your child's classroom, go in, don't just stand around the door like we all do. Go in, fill it out, provide your email address. It also has some information here about special diet and any allergies your kids may have. As we continue to get bigger, we need that information. And that is just one way.
Okay, excellent. And so that's what we have, a preschool version, we have an elementary age version, and we're also going to be doing one for students. Andrew Schultz, our youth pastor, will be getting information out to you, parents of teens, as to how you can get that and how he's going to distribute it. But one last thing, and then we'll send you out of here. In a given week, we have maybe 3 hours with your kids. If it's a kids' stuff night, then we get 3 hours. Most weeks, we get 2 hours with your kids. Depending on the age of your kids, if you're a parent, you probably have somewhere between 20 and 40 hours in a week with your kids. Now, if their relationship with God is the most important thing, then it would be really silly for us to take that full responsibility on ourselves. To go, we've got 2, maybe 3 hours. And we're going to try to get the most important thing in the world done in that time and give them that focus. And so that's why we as a church, we said, no, we're not the primary people who raise your kids. We're not the primary people who raise your kids spiritually. As a parent, that's your role. But we will do anything we possibly can to partner with you and come alongside you and help you with that. And so I say that as, if you have suggestions, if you have like tips, if you have, hey, I don't know what to do about this, or I need this, then please come talk to us, because we are open. We'll do anything we can on that. And the parent link is just one other way that we're trying to do that. So let me pray for you real quick, and then we'll dismiss you. Lord, I thank you this morning for the message that we heard. And Lord, for those of us who are parents, for those of us who are going to be parents one day, I pray that you will give us courage, that you will give us strength, but most of all, Lord, that you will give us focus, that we will be very, very clear that raising our kids in you, raising our kids to know who you are, is the most important responsibility that we have. And so, God, I just ask that you'll give us the clarity to push all the other distractions aside so we can focus on that one thing. And we just trust that your grace and your love covers us all the way. And we pray this in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen. Hey, thank you very much for joining us this morning. You are dismissed.